The biggest lie singles believe after a breakup. We're going to talk about that. But before we do, we're Terrence and Jill of God-Ordained Union, and we're here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to help increase God-Ordained unions.
Yes, yes. So if you are single, you are on the right channel because you're probably feeling like, what am I doing wrong? I've been waiting so long. I've been praying for my person. He or she has not come yet. Has God forgotten about me? Why is everybody else getting married
I'm
and
doing this
finding
all
their?
by myself.
I'm doing it all by myself. I'm getting older. That was our story. We were both single. I had never been married, never had any biological children, one of those things, and they never came until 50. 48 is when I came across Terrence on a dating app, and 50 when we started officially dating, and 52 when I walked down the
I
aisle.
was 54 when I watched her walk down the aisle.
Yes, yes. So you are not alone. We understand what you're going through. We feel you. We felt it. We were, all those things were going through our head as well. And this is the thing. There were some things that were blocking us, blocking me for sure. Three main things that were blocking me for sure. And I had to go through, some deliverance because it I was holding myself in contempt. And when you're holding yourself in contempt, and which you might not even realize, no one can get through. Not only are you blocking from your person, but you're blocking other things that God wants to do in your life, blessings He wants to release in your life. And so He's not going to override your will if you're holding on to things like unforgiveness and soul ties and generational patterns, the way you feel about things, the way you see things, the way you operate. Those things can be hindering you. And so this is the thing. The enemy doesn't care if you get married because so many of us are blocked up and we're getting married every day, all day. He just does not want you to get to your person. And so what'll happen is that you'll get in relationship after relationship after relationship, and you wonder why it doesn't work. Or for some people, they can't even get a relationship. You wonder why it doesn't work. It's because you're holding these things in you.
Yes.
And you're attracting those types of people. And so on this channel, we like to bring, shine some light on some of those things that could be blocking you, hindering you, because it's personal. This is what was going on with us. And so you are definitely on the right channel. Subscribe, turn your notifications. If you want to know when we go live, which is every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you want to know more about our private group, our weekly prayer call, our one-on-ones, our ebook, all of that down in the comments. Get the ebook. The ebook, I wrote it actually for women, but the ebook it will really talk about these things that are blocking you up and how to break free from them. And so again, you're asking God, I want this, I want that, I want a new job, I want a husband, I want this, I want abundance, I want whatever it is. But in the spirit realm, you're like this. And so the ebook is a great tool resource for you. To grab it, you can go to the comments to the description below. Also follow us on IG. That's where we are day to day, and you can see how we're living and all of that great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so there was a comment, and I want to read the comment because this caught us.
Yes.
Which is what the video is about today. So the comment was, it was from a guy, and he made it public. So he commented on the video that we talked about. God saw what you couldn't. It was a video, God blocked it. So this guy wrote a comment, and he said, when God removes someone from my life, I always take it as God wants to give her to another man that He loves more than me. Wow. And that, and if a guy wrote that, like how many people, men and or women, feel like that? And you can speak to it
I can speak to it,
personally.
and I am in this video. Look, there's so many people that feel they're not enough. There's so many people that feel they don't deserve what God has for them. And that is just so far from the truth. It is so far. The Bible, the word is just full of promises that God has for us. But because of what we went through early in life, before we learned about them, the things that we've learned over, how we was raised or how people spoke to us, or traumas we went through as a young person that we had never been delivered from. We go through our adulthood thinking that we don't deserve something, or we deserve the hardship that we're going through. Almost like we have to wear it as a badge or something. When I was younger in church, I grew up learning that Christians are going to go through some trials and tribulations. It's a part of being a Christian. So when I went through my divorce, I honestly thought like, well, the book of Job, he went through some stuff.
So I'm gonna have to go through
So I'm gonna have to go through some stuff. And it wasn't like, my mindset wasn't like I needed to be delivered. My mind was almost like, I got to own this. I got to show that I'm a tough Christian and that I can handle this, because Job handled all the stuff he went through. I got to handle what I'm going through. So as I go through reasons why you're probably thinking that you're not good enough, I'm going to relate to these things as much as I can, and I'm going to share my story as much as I can to help you understand you ain't by yourself. I once too thought some of the things that I'm going to share with you today. Okay? And so the first one should resonate with everybody, because we have talked about this, other people have talked about it, and that is really you tying your entire identity to that relationship. And now the relationship is over, you feel lost. You feel you don't have an identity. You feel you can't get it back, because that person that you tied that to is gone, no longer in your life anymore. And now you feel like you're not worthy of meeting someone else. And more importantly, you feel that person is off to meet somebody that's better for them than you was. And as a result, you feel, I wasn't enough. We broke up because I wasn't enough, because I didn't meet this, or I didn't do this, or I wasn't good enough in this area. And so you go through now putting yourself down, thinking, here I am watching somebody else walk out of my life into something greater, something better than I could have given them, because you don't have an identity outside of that, and you don't understand that God created you. Your identity should be in God, not in that relationship.
Yeah, which goes back to when you talk about when we talk about identity being tied to God and not to the person or the relationship.
Yes.
When our identity is tied to God, we don't think in terms of enough, because God is the God of abundance. And so wherever you show up, whether it's on a job, whether it's in a relationship, you're coming into that situation to multiply whatever it is, whether it's like wherever God places you, you're coming in multiplying it, making it better. And so, but if you don't have your identity in God, then you're going to measure yourself as enough or not enough. And anytime you measure yourself based on enough or not enough, when you're more than enough, anytime you put enough there, your identity is scarcity, is limited.
Yeah, and here's where I can relate to this, okay, personally, is for those of you that know our story, know that I was married before and been divorced. And in that first marriage had 2 kids. And what I lost when I got divorced was access to my kids. So my identity was really placed in me being a father. And so I was sitting there, for a long time thinking, I'm failing my kids because I'm not there to help them in the day-to-day. And it's like as a failure, now I'm walking around, and I kid you not, with the mindset that people can read my mind and that they can see that I was a failure. And I'm walking around going to work, doing things, coming back home like a hermit, just coming home, all the blinds down. It's like just sitting in my misery, thinking that my identity was attached to that marriage and being the father of those kids. And now that I couldn't see them every day, I was just a big failure. And it's like, so for months, I couldn't do anything. I went through the motions, going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, wishing that I could just spend some time with my kids. That's what my identity was for a long, long time after the separation and the divorce hit.
Yeah, the enemy is he will play on he will make you feel like a failure. He will make you, that's his job. And which is can be a long-term block for so many people. And it's, you wondering why you can't, at 20 years down the road, you wondering why you still can't meet that person. Is because you have identified yourself as a failure or not enough, or not a good father, or whatever those negative
perspectives are.
Right.
And the word says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So when you're walking around thinking that you're this type of person, then you're also thinking what you expect that you should be getting as a result of being that.
Which is nothing. You're not getting the person. You're not. And so when you feel like you're not attracting a good person, it's because you have placed that on you. You have placed that on yourself.
Yeah. So that was number one. Number two is you believe that love has to be earned. You believe that love has to be earned. And in your own head, you're telling yourself, you didn't do enough. You didn't do enough to earn it. And the person that you see them go into, you're thinking they make more money than you. You're comparing yourself to them. They make more money than you. You may feel they're more attractive than you are. You might feel like they are more successful than you are. Now you're starting to compare yourself because you think you have to earn it. And you're saying, well, if they did it, then they must be this better than me. They must be this more than me. They must be this higher than me. And you keep finding reasons. And it's amazing how our brain works. Whenever you go through something, your brain tries to explain it to you so it makes sense. So it starts connecting the dots of what would actually justify that so it makes sense to you. And in this case, it's saying, you didn't get that last promotion. You're only making X amount of dollars a year. You're not driving X car. You're driving this, or you're not a homeowner. You're renting, or whatever that is that you feel you're using as saying you haven't done something as well as the person that you see your ex with now. Yeah.
Trick of the enemy.
The trick of the enemy. All of that is just to keep you right where you are. And here's the thing. The more you believe those things, the less work the enemy has to do.
Yeah.
The enemy saying, as long as I can keep this person believing this right here, I ain't got to worry about them anymore.
They're gonna now drive their own destiny at this point. Only thing he has to do is plant the seed.
Absolutely.
And year after year after year, you water your own seed, and you let the external water. You look on social media and they water the seed. And you wonder 5-10 years why you're still stuck in the same position is because you set yourself up.
Now, number 3, I think a lot of people have heard of this one. Okay. Number 3 is you have low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem is coming from early traumas. It could be childhood traumas. It could be things that you've gone through in the past and you just haven't got over it yet. You haven't been delivered from it. You haven't worked through it yet. And it just keeps rearing its head. Every time you feel rejected, it brings back that same feeling. It brings back of abandonment. It brings back those same feelings of the trauma that you faced when you was real young. In a lot of cases, some of these traumas can be traced all the way back to when you was children. Just how you was spoken to in your own house, how you was treated in school by the other kids, how you was treated in the neighborhood that you grew up in. All these things set some type of precedence in your life. And if you haven't dealt with it or gone to get any type of help from it, it's going to keep rendering its head up and say, well, here I am, I'm still here, whenever you go through something else. And in this case, you feel rejected, and that rejection triggers these other feelings, whether it's abandonment or whatever it is. And here you are thinking, boom, this person, I wasn't this, I wasn't that for that person. Now they're going to be with somebody that's better than me, somebody that's whatever the case. It can even be age. If they're a younger person, or they might need somebody that's more mature. If you're an older person, they might need somebody that's younger, that's got more energy. You're going to justify it in your own mind based upon your own personal situations. It's like you can't win because you just train yourself to think that way about yourself.
About yourself. And God forbid if the other person that they leave you for is of a different race. At that point, it's like you're destroyed.
Or different sex.
Or different sex. Or the same. If they leave you for the same sex.
Yes. Now you got some issues.
Now you got some.
Now
you really. It's all a part of the trick of the enemy.
Yeah. Absolutely. The next number 4. Number 4 is you're starting to relate, or you are confusing the rejection, okay, with worth, your value. So now every time you lose something or you feel rejected, you immediately compare it to your self-worth. I lost this because they left me because I wasn't enough. They left me because I didn't do this enough, or I wasn't this type of person. Now you're starting to gravitate to bringing other things into the reason why the relationship didn't work. And here's the thing. Most relationships don't work because you wasn't compatible with somebody, or the timing was off, or
they weren't the one.
They just wasn't the one that God has for you to do what God has for you to do.
Yeah.
But we take those and say, no, we're gonna relate it to this. That means this. They left me, so that must means this. And now you're starting to get really confused because you're bringing in things that has really nothing to do with the breakup itself.
Yeah. And I think I'll wait to make my point when you finish.
Now, here's one that I went through, okay? And this is, number 5 is, you believe that God is punishing you because you made mistakes or you let him down in the past. In my case, I got divorced. So I'm thinking, oh, he's really mad at me. So now I have to go through this suffering. I have to do it because in church, they always talk about Christians going through trials and tribulations and things coming up, and Christians going to have to suffer this and Christians have to suffer that. And I started telling myself, well, then I'm a Christian and I have to be a good Christian. So I ain't even going to complain about the suffering. I'm just going to bite down and just fight through this and stay with it. I ain't going to go. I didn't even ask for deliverance because I thought I deserved it. I was supposed to be there suffering.
And then pile on, some Christian beliefs is that you're not supposed to get divorced. So then guilt sets on top of that. So, because you don't have the right teaching, depending on what church you go to. So, so we and not realizing that Christ said, you can cast your cares upon me because I care for you. There's no condemnation in Christ, but we don't lean into that part. We didn't subscribe to a loving God. We subscribe to the God that is, his wrath is on us. So we will carry that.
Yeah. And look, like I said, when I was in church, these are things I heard when I was a little boy. And my father passed when I was young, so I'm coming up with what these things mean, and that's how it was. I understood it. Wow. I was supposed to be there because I was a Christian, and I'm supposed to go through.
You're supposed to suffer.
I'm supposed to be suffering. That's what a good Christian does.
You're supposed to be hurting.
You're supposed to feel like you can't get something because you're being a true Christian. If you was doing something crooked, the crooked people are out there, with the good jobs, but the crooked people are out there with all the big money and buying the nice cars. The people that had the broke down cars, they were Christians and they were suffering. So that's why they couldn't get out of that situation. They was doing it the honest way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I grew up there too. Woo. Suffering, the lack in suffering meant you were closer to God. That is what I was come to believe, which didn't make sense because I'm like, well, why the pastor got all of this? Why the pastor not going through this? Why the
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it was conditioning.
Absolutely. Now, number 6 is very closely related to what I said number 2 was. Okay. Number 2, I said you had to earn it. Okay. But number 6 is you're comparing yourself. You're comparing yourself to everybody and everything around you. Okay, you're looking at people that's living a better class of life. You're saying they were able to pray better. You know, they pray more than I do. You're saying they got a better job than I got. You know, they wearing better clothes. They going to better schools than I went to. They have better teachings and
They
better
got a
opportunities.
degree.
They got a
this.
degree. You know, you're comparing all your lack because you're lacking, because you're finding people that you feel is on a higher level or on a better level, and you're comparing yourself only to them. You know, and that's what you're doing. You're just it's full of comparisons. And because of those comparisons, you just believe that the person that you was with is moved on to somebody better because you aren't enough. You are not enough. And you just keep telling yourself that story. Go ahead. You was gonna say something?
No, you can go ahead. You was gonna say something.
Okay. Now I was gonna move on to number 7.
Okay.
And here's number 7, and this is the last one that I'm going to share in this, and that is, I hear this. I'm starting to hear this even more now. People are starting to say that they have a fear that they can't find anyone else, whether they're at a certain age or whether they feel this person was so good as a mate, as a partner, that now they feel I can't find anybody better than them, or I can't find anybody that's going to be as good as I think they were. I don't have time because now, in our case, we're over 50. So if this relationship don't work, we're not going to have another opportunity. So now when that person decides to move on because you're not the person for them, they're not the person for you, but you put all these other things in it. Well, I can't let that person leave because if they do, then I'm not going to have another chance at love. I'm not going to have another opportunity because I'm too old, or it's too late in the game, or I'm there's so much, whatever it is, you feel you're not going to have another opportunity. And that is just not true. And here's the thing. Whether you're not for that person or they're not for you, they both mean the same thing. They both mean the same thing. If one of you isn't for the other, then the other isn't for the other person. That has to happen in order for you to be able to find the person that God has for you.
Right.
But you have to understand that in order to let that go, rather than trying to hang on to something because you feel you're not going to have another chance at it and that you don't add up. You don't have something that's going to allow you another opportunity that's going to be able to get to the person that God has for you.
Yeah.
So you keep telling yourself you don't add up. It's about you. You wasn't good enough. You wasn't this. You were.
Yeah, and not thinking that you can't find a better person or that another person doesn't exist is such a trap.
And you know what makes this even worse? It's 2 things that make it worse. One is, say you see that person and they're in another relationship. Now you're telling yourself, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And heaven forbid you look over there, you're a guy, you look over there and you see and she's smiling. That new boyfriend is making her smile. Now you're thinking, he's making her smile more than I did. You're comparing. Now here's what makes it even worse than that. You find out that she's getting married to that person. And you still ain't found another girlfriend. Oh, I knew it. I didn't add up. That person's better than me. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. I wasn't man enough. Now you're coming up with all these reasons because you see that person has moved on. They found their person. They're getting married. They got in a relationship. Now they're getting engaged. And you're sitting there still wondering why you ain't found the person. Because in your head, you didn't add up. You ain't even looking for somebody else. You're trying to figure out how you lost the one you thought was supposed to be yours.
And for a lot of men, what I'm noticing, and I could be wrong, but it seems like for a lot of men, that person that hurt them, broke their heart, they'll do one or two things. Men will do one or two things. They'll go be with somebody, but it's very surface and they really ain't giving them 100%, and they'll also marry again, or they will stay a hermit and go. And I know men in our family, both of us, like I know personally, like men who are just stuck in one of those two ways. Um, yeah, it's Terrence has a friend who, of course, we're not gonna say any names or whatever, but he was married before, and his wife passed away, and now he's with a new woman, and you could tell that he's not giving her 100%. And every time I see her, she stays with attitude. And it's clear that a part of him is still with his wife, his wife. And and so for whatever reason, if he doesn't want to move on, that's his own personal reason. But the other person has to be honest with themselves as well. Yeah. But it's a lot of men that are stuck with the past, and they're moving forward either inch by inch or not at all.
Yeah, and look, it's one thing a person being limited on their own free will. It's another thing having a person in a relationship with you and they're limited and you're not allowing them, or you're not giving them an opportunity to have a full relationship with you because of what you're going through.
Right.
So it's like, yeah. Right. So when you're around people like that, if you understand what you're looking at, you can see it.
Yeah. And we did a video, the last video we did, and we'll put it up here. The last video we did, we talked about rejection, when God blocks a thing, and and so and going back to the message, the email that prompted this video with the young man that said he feels like when the person is removed, that whatever he said, that he wasn't good enough or whatever. That rejection should also push you to introspection, because it's one thing to boost yourself up and say, you good enough, you are good enough, you're more than enough. But the other part of it is you have to take some responsibility. Where was I lacking? Where was I not giving my all? Where I know when I went through it, I was in my 20s, and I remember the guy who, left me for the woman. He literally said, she's better mind, body, and spirit. Like, she had Jesus, she had an education, degrees, and all that, and she looked good and all of that, and I was lacking, at least in one of those areas, and according to him. But what I did is I leveled up. I was like, it made me move. That rejection gave me movement. It made me say, okay, I will never be, because and maybe it was a bit of comparison, I don't know. But what I wasn't going to do was sit in my lack or sit in my misery. I was not, because at the end of the day, people pick partners who they want to win with, period. And nobody is attracted and nobody wants to be with someone who is not operating at their full potential. And if we call ourselves in Christ, why are we functioning and operating at a low capacity? When he's in a mindset of lack. Like, why? Like, no. So it's one thing to convince you and say, you got to change your perspective, but you got to do your part too. You got to level up. You have to level up, because I know one thing, just knowing my husband, like the person that he was in his marriage is not the same guy. It's just not the same guy. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so with that being said, here's something you got to understand. First of all, you got to go and learn who you are in God.
Yes.
Okay? God created you in his own image. So there's nothing about being in God's image that's got lack in it anywhere.
Nowhere.
Okay? If anything, it's got abundance just falling off you.
You more than enough.
Okay? You got so much that you can't even put it in your pocket. It's just falling off everywhere. Okay? So you need to learn who you are. And with all of these reasons that we gave, that could be a reason for you thinking that way about yourself, go back to number one, find your identity. And once you know that, it eliminates all the rest.
Yep.
It eliminates all the rest. Because by learning your identity, by finding your identity, you're going to first have to get a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And that's going to eliminate the rest.
Yeah. Which goes back to your title about the biggest lie, that that's the biggest lie singles believe. And it's that which goes back to, that was how the enemy got Eve. Once your identity is questioned, once you start questioning once the enemy can make you question your identity,
it's all planting the seed.
It's downhill from there.
He's trying to find his way in, and that's where he go first.
He goes
make sure you know who you are first.
You know who you are. He didn't even tell you who you were. He wanted you to know who. He wanted to see if you knew who you were, and that's how the enemy gets us. And so, so we look at our identity, and then we look at the person who our person left us for. And we try to shape our identity around that and compare that, and then we just dig a deeper hole.
Yeah, because it's amazing when you compare yourself to somebody, how they can have one thing going for them that might be considered on a higher scale than you, and that will actually be the only thing you see in that comparison. It won't be all the other areas where you probably just blowing that person out the water. No, you're going to pick the one thing you think that person is better than you at, and that's where you're going to put your gauge.
And it all goes back to perspective, because it's still only what you see.
And it's almost what you want to see.
And it's almost what you want to see.
Yeah.
So
with that being said, we pray that this video sends you back to God, what his word says about your personal situation and who you are.
Yep.
And with that being said, we look forward to seeing you guys in our next video.
Yeah. All right.
Peace.
Peace.